Hey, Chris Liepe here. My Chemical Romance released a new song. Yes, you've seen it all over. You've probably heard it all over. I have not heard it yet. I waited to make this video. So I'm going to listen through and you'll see my first and honest reaction. I should say that I absolutely love Gerard Way and My Chemical Romance. The Black Parade is in my bag of desert island albums. If I could only, it's probably in my top 5. I love that album. Gerard's voice is so dynamic and expressive, and there's so many wonderful things to pull from his singing. I'm excited to see what they're up to, what he's up to with his singing and his writing. And if you like how I pick apart vocalists and analyze what they do and experiment a little bit in my own singing, you'll love my free voice course. I'll help you dial in the foundations that you need to do the same and to discover what your voice can really do. Even if you're not a singer, experimenting with your voice can make you a singer. You don't have to have natural talent. Anyway. One thing that Gerard is really good at is creating the desire for more out of his voice. The way he starts his songs, the way he phrases, and you can see this when he performs live too, just his almost withdrawn nature in some points of the song, particularly the beginnings, like with this, that shows that there's this pent-up energy waiting to come. I can't wait to see what happens here. And this sort of thing is enhanced by the production to a great degree, and I can hear that already happening here.
But fate had left its scars upon his face.
Face. Spoke that word. He does a lot of speaking when he sings. Keep that in mind as we go through the rest of this. But if you listen to Black Parade, it's littered with vomiting words out and speaking in the midst of singing. That's part of what makes him so expressive.
All the damage they had done, and so time with age turns the page, let the flesh.
Hear that very granular sound that they've put on the voice. Not only is there this reverb, this short reverb, there's a longer reverb, then there's this granular thing happening. It's interesting sounding. In pain. He still has it. He still has this ability to, each word comes out with a slightly different resonance. If I die in pain, it is this sort of vomitous thing where he let you blood. That's happening, and I'm really exaggerating it, but it creates this wonderful contrast between withdrawn Gerard, and he doesn't even have to go up in his range that much to create such intensity and such engagement. One thing I'm hearing again in this mix that I don't care for in the Black Parade also, they tend to bury his voice too much when he's at his intense places in his arrangements. There's more doubling than I'd like to hear, and there's more verb, and it's set back too far in the mix. I mean, I really love the instrumentation of My Chemical Romance, but I'd like a little bit more, like just in-your-face nature in terms of the production with his vocals. Like there, you couldn't even hardly hear the word convictions. I mean, so buried. I realize that's part of the style. And maybe I'm just old, but I felt that way when the original My Chemical Romance, when the Black Parade came out as well. The foundation Generations of Decay. He is truly a character. He is not afraid to make his voice sound what most people would be thinking it sounds weird if they tried to do it themselves. But that's part of the character and energy that he exudes, and because he's fully invested in his own character, he sells it. It would be weird if you were also self-conscious and worried about how you sound and doing some of this stuff. But he's not, and we can't as singers either. We can't be worried about that. We can't be afraid to sound dumb. Likely, it doesn't sound dumb. It will sound dumb if you're self-conscious. He's not.
He was there the day the towers fell, and so he wandered down the road.
I don't mind the way the voice is placed here. I like that. I just wish they'd opened it up a little bit for the chorus, for the up part.
And we would all build towers of our own, only to watch the roots corrode.
How he's coming off of the end of those phrases. Very spoken. Corrode. He might be sort of hitting a pitch, but it's much more conversational than just singing the line. And we can really take this away from Gerard's style. Most of the time, when you hear a karaoke singer go out, corrode, they're going for pitch accuracy. And that just isn't how we want to approach, especially this style of music. It's not about pitch accuracy. It's about experiencing emotion as you're digging in to a particular vibe of a song, and then sharing that experience with the people who are listening or watching. Don't seek after accuracy or goodness with your voice. Seek engagement and emotion.
Too late, you're in the race, so oppressed. And faster you can't take it
Anymore! Do you hear how he sighed into that anymore? Anymore! This is the sort of off-the-cuff desperation that you hear out of his voice that, of course, you heard it over and over. You hear it over and over again on all the songs, how he arcs his energy up and down. That's not an easy thing to do and do well. It can easily hurt your voice if you're not doing it with the correct mechanics and support. He's got all that stuff dialed in so he can truly and purely emote. Listen to how it's difficult to hear because his voice is so buried, but listen to how he starts with that word more closed, and then it moves forward in resonance. Of course, I'm exaggerating it, but try that in your own voice. It's dark and your larynx is low, and then as you finish the word, open it up and take note of how it feels. And then when you start working this into lines of your own, I'm gonna fly, I'm gonna fly. See how I'm dynamically moving the resonance around and the placement of those vowels? It makes my voice way more interesting than if I just go, I'm gonna fly, I'm gonna fly. Explore those extremes. There's one of those sighs into a scream again. Love it. Ha! Not whore! Ha! Honk! I always like to hear those blatantly spoken moments. So, in the last demonstration that I just did with the sigh, if we can take that to another level here. Yes! Fine! This is what he's doing. These are just big sighs. And as he's sighing, you think sigh from high, like that. As soon as you feel your vocal cords engage, right there, from head voice to chest voice, lean into that sensation of that break, that transition from chest to head, or from head to chest voice. And you get that sound. That's what he's doing here. Yes! And it's buried and layered, so you don't get much of the pitchy tone that you hear with what I'm doing. That's part of why they layer these sections. Super cool, though. And you can hear it there. Sorry, I'm stopping it so much, but it must be pure. You get a sense that he's like breaking and cracking out of pure passion, but you hear that pitch sort of zoned in right there at the very end. Oh, that major thing. Ruins! Oh, that's awesome. Fix your heart. Notice how he cut that off? He has all these really drawn out screams and all these drawn out notes, and then he intentionally reins it in. That's part of his arranging skills and the beauty of his melodic intuition. He knows how to work with timing and tension, and a lot of that is choosing to cut notes off, choosing when to let things really roast. There's another one of those awesome sighs. He's known for this. It's one thing to listen to it and just go, oh, he's got a great voice. It's another thing to like draw from it and experiment with what happens in your own voice, what kinds of things it awakens. Don't try to sound like Gerard Way. Try to take some of his approaches and then see what happens in your own voice as you do and as you implement some of these approaches. And as the swarmy cow. I love it how on certain vowels, and as the swarmy cows, that opportunity to purposely throw the resonance back and really honk it, quack, quack, cows, cows. So many opportunities there. There's one of those more. Leave space. It would have been very normal. Comforts me much more. To not pay attention to those, but that's part of the act, part of the character.
Yes, it comforts me much more.
Ooh.
To lay in the foundations of decay.
Oh, did you hear the little coward in there? Oh, the layer. That's so awesome. He did that subtly last time too, where we've got this minor sounding riff, and then he puts that major third in there. Oh. I'm giddy excited to hear more new stuff. This was awesome. It met my expectations. I expected the mix to be a little not what I was hoping it would be, but it doesn't matter. I love their songwriting. I love his voice so much. I will certainly be scouring the internet for isolated vocal tracks. Maybe I can get a little better view of them at some point. Thanks for watching. Thanks for experiencing this with me. Again, if you'd like more help with your own voice, exploring what it can really do, click that link below and join my free voice course. We'll see you for more.